Hey, Tanya here to walk you through the new features of the open back halter top pattern. So I'll go feature by feature and then we'll break it up. So the additional neck ease feature. So what that does is essentially I overlaid the halter top pattern on top of the torso sloper, so you can see how the design lines are put into place. So essentially what that's going to do is, depending on the input that you put in, it will push the starting point of the beginning part of the shoulder strap. So for example, if you put neck ease at 0, the first part of the shoulder strap will literally start at the side shoulder point, side neck point, and the same thing on the back. This is the default. The default is set to around 1.5 inches or 4 centimeters. So the default will push the neck ease. So why you would use the additional neck ease feature is to essentially, if you wanted to create that pattern but not use a back enclosure, just to, push the head through. Also, if you wanted to max it out, you can kind of do a boat neckline. So additional neck ease is this distance here and this distance here. Distance below bust radius. So this is essentially where this bottom design line is going to sit. So for example, if my bust radius, I think right now it is set to 6.34 centimeters, and then I have distance below the bust radius being 1 centimeter. So if I wanted to, let's say, make this a tank, I would put 10.5 centimeters. If you go over, let's say, your waist to bust, so this is your waist to bust measurement here, it will automatically stop at the waist. So you can play around with it and you can be really detailed, but if you go over that, so for example, I have my waist to bust here is 16.81. So if I put 17, it's automatically going to stop at the waist. Distance below bust radius. So this is essentially where this bottom design line is going to sit. So for example, if my bust radius, I think right now it is set to 6.34 centimeters, and then I have distance below the bust radius being 1 centimeter. So if I wanted to, let's say, make this a tank, I would put 10.5 centimeters. If you go over, let's say, your waist to bust, so this is your waist to bust measurement here, it will automatically stop at the waist. So you can play around with it and you can be really detailed, but if you go over that, so for example, I have my waist to bust here is 16.81. So if I put 17, it's automatically going to stop at the waist. This is strap width. So the strap width is essentially exactly that. So how thick the strap you want the strap to be. So you can set the strap to be, you can set the strap to be 0, you can set the strap to be 10, you can set the strap to be exactly the measurement of your shoulder. So I think this is 11.21. Just a note here, if you put, let's say, 20 centimeters, it will max out at your shoulder width. So you can't create a strap width that is bigger than the shoulder. So if you use these two measurements together, so for example, let's say I wanted to maintain this strap of 4 centimeters, and then I wanted to push the strap to the edge of my shoulder to create that boat neckline, I would essentially, let's do that in, it would essentially kind of look like this, and that would be the beginning of my strap, and then additional neck ease would be around 6.85, and then the strap would come in and kind of do this. So using strap width plus additional neck ease, you can really adjust the neckline and do what you want. So for example, if you put the strap width to be, let's say, your total shoulder width, and then you put 0 for additional neck ease, your top will essentially cover the entire torso, kind of like the sloper here. And then let's say you wanted to really have that halter look to it, you could set the strap width to 0, and then let's say additional neck ease, let's say you wanted to put it at 0, you would literally have a pattern that looks like this. And then you can add a mock neck in for that, that very classic dance style top. So there are a lot of things you could do when you combine additional neck ease, distance below bust radius, and strap width. Open back depth. So essentially that is where you're going to start your open back. So essentially the default is going to be roughly 1 inch. So let's say I wanted my open back to really, start at the top. I would set my open back to be 0, and it would start at the top. Let's say I didn't want much of an open back and I really wanted it to start at the bust line, then I would go in and I would set that to 20.5, and then my open back will start essentially down here. So you can adjust how much of an open back you want. You can't make it completely closed back. I think there is a limit. You you might run into something kind of like this if you really set it to like the minimum, but there will be a design line there. Armhole side seam length percentage. So essentially that is the distance between the bust line and your arm side. So if you wanted to give it a bit more ease in the arm, so you really want that movement, that flexibility, you would set that at 0, for example, to really open up that armhole. Now, a note here, when you're taking your arm side measurement, you do want it to be as accurate as possible, because I've put in these options into the armhole. So for example, when you're taking your arm side measurement, you don't want to put like, 5 fingers to really open up that arm side, because you can adjust that with the armhole side seam length percentage. So right now, this I believe is set at 50%. So you can see how the design line cuts that arm side in half and opens it up a bit more. Additional neck ease would be the distance from the side neck point to the shoulder. So if you wanted to open that up with no enclosure, if you wanted to use an enclosure and put a mock neck, for example, you would probably set that to 0, so that way you have that really close fitting mock neck. Distance below the bust radius, so we have our bust radius, which is indicated here, and this would be the distance below that bust radius for that waistband design line. The strap width is the strap width, so that's this guy. So you could make the strap width as long and as literally short as you want it to be, and then you combine strap width with the additional neck ease to really move around the neckline, and really you can create unlimited amount of designs. And then open back depth, so that is the distance from the back neck point, so center back, where you want the open back to start. So from center back, essentially from the nape, well, actually it's not going to be from the nape, it's going to be from where the neckline starts. So where the neckline starts to down center back, where you want that open back to start. Armhole side seam length percentage is going to be where the arm side is going to end, between the actual arm side point and the bust line.